Hello.
Hi, Esther. How you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
Oh, I'm exhausted. I just looked at myself in the mirror. I got to go comb my hair. I went Passover shopping this morning,
where'd
morning,
you go?
into this afternoon.
Where'd you go?
I went to Swampscott, then I went to Costco, and I'm very upset.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite thing that I like to eat at Passover, I can't have anymore.
What?
The chocolate-covered marshmallows.
Yeah.
They have corn syrup in them.
I know. We went to Swampscott. I didn't look at that item, but we went to Swampscott earlier this week, and then it must have been Monday, and then on Wednesday we went to the butchery, and I didn't feel it so much in Swampscott, but in the butchery I really felt like I had to be very, very careful about what I was picking up, because a lot of the stuff had kit meal.
Really?
Yeah,
That's surprising.
well, no, because so many people are using,
but they usually
are using kidney oat. So now they have
Wow.
a lot more items that have,
Yeah, well,
they're using
thank you.
it also with kidney
Well,
oat.
I'd rather not do that. And
I'm
the other
not
thing
doing
the other thing I was disappointed in is every year I get the mozzarella cheese in Costco, this humongous bag,
Mhm.
because Diane likes I brought her up on matzah pizza, and
Mhm.
it's literally, you put the sauce and the cheese on the pizza, stick it in the oven, bake it 10 minutes, you're done. The
Yeah,
best pizza easy in the world. They didn't have it. So now I have to go back to Swampscott and get it, the smaller packages there.
unless you want to call like Costco in Waltham.
That's where I went, to Costco in
Oh, you
Waltham.
went to Waltham.
They didn't have, they had very little compared to what they used to have.
Or Dedham.
Oh, maybe Dedham. No, but if one has it, the other one would have it.
Not
wouldn't it?
necessarily. Dedham just seems to have.
Oh, I didn't have you been to the one in Danvers at all?
Yeah, we were there. Yes.
Did they have anything? Did you notice?
No, Neil had to pick up a prescription, so we were there yesterday, but I wasn't really looking, but somebody told me that the only thing that they saw there was macaroons on the back wall at the back of the produce.
Oh,
And I
no, I'm willing to run in just to take a shot instead of going to Dedham or back to Swampscott. I really like the big bag, but
Yeah.
oh well.
I do next to no dairy during Passover.
Well, I grew up with no dairy, but this is the one thing I do with dairy, because
only
it's so
thing I do
easy and it's good.
The only thing I do is I get milk, because I have matzah fafel and milk, and I get cream cheese to put on matzah, but basically I do no dairy.
I don't get cream cheese. There's a product that the butchery sells for like 3 times as much. It's the salmon spread. I was talking about it last night. It's a salmon spread that's put out. I get it in Market Basket. It's the same exact package that the butchery sells for $7.99.
Yeah.
And Market Basket sells it for $3.99. And all it is salmon. There's no cheese in it. It's absolutely delicious.
Mhm.
And that's what I have in my breakfast every morning. And I can have it during Pesach too, because it's Pesach.
Yeah.
And they also have whitefish. They have the whitefish spread also.
Yeah, I don't do any of that during Passover.
It's great.
And I was with
Who said hi?
I did, Ronnie, I did.
Oh, hi, Ronnie. I can't see you. You're a black screen.
No, because I'm still eating.
Oh, well, that's all right. Enjoy.
I was sitting today, and my Makutanister was there when we first got there, and then she left. But she was talking about a recipe for a matzah French toast.
Really?
Yeah. And one of my Hebrew school students was also talking about.
How would you do that? Just mix the matzah with eggs? That doesn't seem.
I don't know. I was going to look it up. Neil said he likes the old.
You know what? It's going to end up like fried matzah. What's it? How much different could it be?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a sweeter version of fried matzah.
That's okay. I'll suffer through with the fried matzah. I'm not cooking a lot. I'm cooking very little this year.
We do a lot of cheese because my husband doesn't like being flaky too much. And they used to have naturally good cheese, kosher for Passover, but not now. So
I grew up with nothing in dairy.
I called up the company and I said, "What's this now? You don't have kosher for Passover cheese?" She said, "Oh, we will, but no one's going to stock it because they still don't." And where I live in Rhode Island, they still stock it in all the stores, but not the Passover kind. So that's a loss this year. And has anyone found mixed fruit, dried mixed fruit kosher for Passover?
No,
No.
Not this year.
I haven't looked for it.
But I had a problem with that a couple of years ago when I bought a package that I thought was kosher for Passover and I ended up returning it because it wasn't.
Hey, quick question. Are cashews kosher for Passover?
Or what?
Cashew nuts.
I
I
don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking.
think so, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
Depends what they're roasted in.
Not roasted, just plain.
You mean raw?
Well, I don't know. The way when they, I don't know. I guess when I look at them, they're plain cashews. I haven't looked at the label, so I don't know. I was just curious.
Mostly cashew nuts are roasted.
Okay, so yeah, so
Depends what they
And then it
roasted in.
depends what it's roasted in.
it would still need the hashkacha then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what I found out this week?
Yes,
What?
they have to have a hashkacha.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That sesame seeds are not kosher for Passover.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah. And
Ashkenazim, for Ashkenazim.
They are,
Yeah.
they're kidneyot. You go
For
kidneyot.
Ashkenazim.
yeah, but
Right.
for all those
Well,
years that they had the,
Ashkenazim,
No.
They're
They're
not
not,
kosher.
Alan, they're not kosher for Passover, for Ashkenazim.
Ashkenazim.
That's
But
what I was trying to say.
For all those years that my,
Yo, 3
Yeah,
Right,
years
I'm
ago.
listening.
They are kidneyot, right.
I'm listening, Esther. Go ahead.
well, I want the rabbi to hear me.
Oh, okay.
Some of us
For all those years that
certification.
my father loved the
By a rabbi.
sesame, the sesame crunch, the joy of a sesame crunch.
Yeah.
Were they not kosher for Passover?
No, I think they
Well,
were. I think they
No.
changed.
First of all, you got the conservative movement has certain rabbis that say you can eat kidneyot now.
Right,
I go by the tradition.
Right.
If you are following the Ashkenazi custom, you do not.
right.
If you want to
But
go by the new modern way, which everybody seems to be wanting to do now because they are studying in Israel, then you can, but you have to make your own decision, which rabbi. and
I
which
But were they
rabbinic-
always,
I understand.
but were they
that, but I'm
always
saying-
kidney?
Yeah, but
Which
I'm saying,
rabbinic authority you wish to follow.
I'm
No,
saying.
we're
for
talking
all
about when we were
those years,
kids.
When we
Years
were
ago.
kids. And that was like the candy that my father ate for Passover.
It didn't have
Didn't have corn syrup.
That's
syrup
what,
in
that's
it.
what we're getting at.
But my
That's
question
exactly
is-
what we were getting
But
at.
my
Yeah.
question is the sesame seeds themselves?
No, that's not a problem. It's the
That's not a
corn syrup.
problem.
It's in the
In the corn syrup.
concoction,
In the
right.
processing.
And you have to check every year, every.
did today.
product,
Yeah, well, that's what I was
because Every
saying.
year they make them differently. It's the
I
way
know,
it's
and I-
produced.
Yeah,
My favorite dessert, I can't get anymore because it has corn syrup in it.
And you also have to be very careful when you're talking about processed foods. What was
Right.
working, what worked when you were younger may not work
It's not
anymore.
working now. Yeah.
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, Hebrew
Right.
national hot dogs, exactly, not kosher for Passover. They used to be.
And they were
Yeah, they
under, I believe the company's being sold,
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
and we have to watch that.
Yeah.
Now and see where that goes to. Some people won't eat Hebrew National. Some people might now that it's being sold. We'll have to wait and see.
yeah.
So there's no flat answer. Everybody has,
Right.
use their own.
How are you?
Well, that's what I was saying before you got on,
Some
Rabbi.
people choose to follow me and some people choose not to.
How
Some
are
people
you?
choose to go the Sephardic way. And if you do, that's your business.
That's what I was saying before you got on, Rabbi, was
Yeah.
that when I was shopping at the butchery, I found it more tedious to shop because I had to be reading more carefully than I used to have to, because they stock a lot more products that have kidney out.
What's happening are more and more
Yeah.
rabbis.
Right,
are-
he's reading it, it goes.
More and more rabbis are studying now in Israel. So they're bringing the Sephardic traditions back home now. And so once my generation's gone, I don't think you're going to see much of a difference anymore. I think you're going to see most people's where we do Marit Hatal and we don't say
Mhm.
Marit Hatal. I think you're going to see that go away. I think you're going to see, more of a consensus with regard to those types of things. You'll never see a consensus between two Jews. Forget that.
Well,
That we know.
I can read the Hebrew, and I was reading on the back of a package that it said kosher, and it said lo kolel Pesach. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's kosher, but not including Pesach.
Right,
Correct.
yeah.
Right.
If you don't know that, you don't
Right.
know.
And if you care, then I've been telling people, if you care and if you do not want to eat corn syrup for Passover, then you have to watch the Manischewitz bottles.
Yeah.
Because they make it, except for 4 months of the year prior to Pesach, they make it with corn
Was
syrup.
it the cherry kosher for
You
Pesach?
have to make sure it has a kosher for Passover label on it. Otherwise, it's kosher, but not for Passover unless
Right.
you eat kitniot.
Rabbi, didn't the conservative movement have a response about 5 years ago here in the
Elliot,
West,
where are you?
15 to 20 years ago,
It's 8
in
o'clock.
allowing, but there were various opinions, and it might be helpful at some
Well, I
point.
think if you read our Passover guide that I put out every year.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
out again this year, and it says right on it, here is the tshuva about kitniot. I follow the custom of the Ashkenazic custom, which does not follow the new custom. But it's not
Right.
that we have to put it out. It's there. It's every time you go to our Passover guide, it's
Yeah.
right there, and you should read it, and you can see both sides. So the new modern rabbis are saying you can do this. Those of us that are on the opposite side have the reason why we don't follow it. And I mention in all of the Passover guides that we send out here why I don't follow it. So please read the material when it comes out, folks.
Yes,
I think I've been sending that one out now for 3 years.
yes. My Hebrew school teacher, Mr. Grossman, he wouldn't even do coffee. He said, I'm not going to do anything they couldn't do when they were out there. So you can go from wicked strict to however you want to be.
Exactly. All right, where's Paula?
I'm right here. I'm waiting for everyone to,
Call it. It's 8:00.
it's 8 o'clock and Shabbat Shalom. It's Friday. Shabbat.
It is Friday night. It is Shabbat Shalom time, and therefore we're going to ask everybody at this moment to please mute the mics, and we're going to call upon our favorite rabbi, Rabbi Bernie,
Hello.
to get this party started.
Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada yada da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Bim bum bim 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 bum. Bim 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 bum. Bim bum bim 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 bum. Bim 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 bum. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Yeah. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Yes, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
The rabbi that knows all the beans about kitniot. Shabbat Shalom to you, Rabbi Bernie.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for answering all those questions.
Ask the rabbi. I wasn't ready for that. Another ask the rabbi. Prior to our Friday night shindig. Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. You know, I remember when I don't remember when it was, a few years ago, maybe 10 or 20, and I said to some group of people that I was leading services for, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. And they said, here we say good Shabbos. Hello. I think it might have been here. Anyway, let's do some good news. Does anyone have any good news? If you do, please go ahead and open your mic and share it with us. Mimi?
I have good news. My middle granddaughter is a freshman and got a varsity letter this week in gymnastics.
Mazel. That's great. That must have made you proud.
Of course, very athletic. Not like me.
Absolutely.
Not like me.
Wonderful. Well, you're athletic. And we have the Kaufman's mics open. Yep.
Earlier this evening, we had the pleasure of zooming into a short Kabbalat Shabbat service at Temple Aliyah in Needham. That was a service to welcome new babies born into the congregation during the pandemic.
Oh, that's so nice.
And they had a nice little slideshow of all the babies with their parents, and did some singing and recited Shechianu. It was very nice.
That's really great. Oh, that's awesome. And you didn't hit any traffic coming home.
No, we actually had been in Needham at the kids earlier and left in enough time to be able to be home for this, and didn't hit any traffic then, and didn't hit any traffic coming back from the service.
How many babies did they have through the pandemic?
There were over 60 people, parents, grandparents on the Zoom. And I think they said there were about 25 babies. Wow,
that's great. Well, we should put a list of what we've got here too and do something. That'd be nice. I know we had a few, so not that many, but I know we had a few.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. All right, thanks for sharing that. It's great news. The winers are open.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Our grandson Jacob is getting married Sunday in
Mazel
Israel.
tov.
And my son and daughter-in-law actually were able to get into Israel to attend the wedding.
Thank God.
Thank God. After a little trial and tribulation, they got in and they're having a good time.
Thank God. Well, Israel's doing really well, as far as beginning now to see very, very good progress with the pandemic. Thank God for the vaccine that they're using, and they're starting to open things. So that's wonderful news. Let's continue that news, and Mazel tov on the family wedding. That's great.
Thanks.
You're going to be able to see it?
Yes, he'll be streaming.
Zoom golly. Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Mazel tov to you. I see the Pranskys have their microphone open.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you mentioned Israel. Yes, it rained again this week. It rained. It was a wonderful picture somebody posted of the rain and people walking through the Shuk, the Machane Yehuda in Jerusalem, with the rain and glistening on the pavement, which was nice to see, and was even better to see that people are out and resuming activities in Israel. Where they're starting to approach close to 70% of the population, which is getting into an area where scientists think that you start getting to herd immunity, and the numbers continue to get better every day. So thank God, things are starting to improve there. Hopefully we'll be able to get there before the end of the year as well. Our good news is we have other good news, and we finally made a decision and figured out a new car lease. So we put a deposit down on that this afternoon, a Toyota Venza.
Oh, everybody's going to be looking. They're going to be turning their heads when you drive by.
It's a relatively new model. It's an old model they brought back, and they only make it as hybrid. And we absolutely wanted a hybrid, so that's what we got. And we'll
Mazel tov. Enjoy it.
Up probably, I don't know, after Pesach probably.
Drive it with health and with wealth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And who else has a mic open? Looks like Jacob and Roy. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. You have good news?
Yeah. So yesterday I had a test in school and I got 100 on it.
Well,
of course you did. Jacob, anything but, right? Mazel tov to you. That's great news. And you keep getting those hundreds, all right?
All right.
Oh,
We're going to see you later for Kiddush?
Right. Yep.
Rabbi?
I was going to ask if it was the test on how to do Kiddush. Of course, you would get 100 on that.
Joan, you got good news?
yeah, I had a new baby, a new great
granddaughter born this morning.
Oh, so wonderful. Mazel tov to you.
Thank you.
No wonder. I was looking at you on the side video and I saw this glow coming from you.
Yeah.
That's why. Mazel. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Oh, that's good news. Mazel, enjoy. Everybody should be healthy, right?
Holiday.
Good. All right. Anyone else with good news?
Well, I do have a comment, actually, a couple.
Yeah.
One is I'm so thrilled, and I know they couldn't make it tonight, but my daughter Cassie, husband Jeff, and Leah and Kayla moved to Swampscott today.
They did move. It's done.
And although I'm disappointed they're not in Peabody anymore, you know, the kids go to Hillel, and instead of a commute of 45 minutes from Peabody, getting up at 6:15 every morning, they're 6 minutes from the school. So they moved there today and having their first Shabbat in Swampscott.
Well, that's wonderful. They should really enjoy their new place, their new home, and their education that they have there. But we must have them come and see us often. And they have a good reason. It's between their family at Temple Ner Tamid and also grandparents. So
absolutely. And I got one more thing to say, that in the end, it's a little personal, but at the end of January, both my wife and my mother-in-law, who will be 92 next month, had coronavirus. And it was a nasty thing going on in our home. And whoever thinks that this is not a real thing, it's a real thing. And what I had to deal with was quite a difficult thing. For some reason, thank God, I did not get it, but I happen to be a caretaker. And finally, today, my mother-in-law, who will be 92, had a negative test for the coronavirus. So she beat it. Took 2 months. So the Shechianu, yes, with that. So yeah, there was some really difficult times, I'm telling you, and we can go over it another time, what this disease does to people and how it just disorients them and whatever. And it's a real thing. And thank God she made it.
Your mother-in-law was hospitalized not once, but twice.
I had to take her took her to the emergency room 2 times, and she wouldn't have made it if I didn't say, we got to go now. And so anyways, thank God.
Rabbi, please do the Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechiyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Amen, amen, amen. You just made our night, because those of us that know what you've been going through since January or whatever, it's been a nightmare for you and your family. And so thank God you were able to say that and share that with us. And let's continue to hear from people about good news.
And I hope anybody else who maybe have some family members who have had the disease, that they can say Shechianu as well.
Including this rabbi who has a family who is dealing with it right now. And we're praying for my family members as well. And they seem to be getting better. So we'll continue down that road. So I think we're all affected by it. And so we're all praying, and we all continue to, which is why we add that prayer for refuah shlema every single day, and we'll do it until we don't have to anymore. All right, we're going to start our service with Shalom Aleichem, but in a different style. I was given a treat this week by my brother, Chazan Cantor Josh in Rockville. He sent me a Shalom Aleichem that he wrote. And if anybody wants to know what it looks like in his shul, because many of you have said to me, your brother Eli, Rabbi Eli is always with you. He always comes, but we never hear, and we hear, Chazan Emmanuel, but we never hear Cantor Josh. Well, he must have heard you, because he sent me something. And if you want to know what it looks like at their shul in Rockville, Maryland, this is how they lead their services.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shamrei, Malachei Elyon, B'im Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yadadadada, yadadadada, dadadadada, yadadadada. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Vihi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Vihi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And that's how it looks at my brother Chazan Josh's synagogue. And that he said he picked up that melody just before he started the service, and he wanted to share it with us, and thank him for that. And, maybe we'll, Rabbi Bernie will learn it and he'll do it next time, I think. Rabbi, you can figure that out, right?
I think so.
It's pretty catchy too, But that's what it looks like when people are davening from a sanctuary, by the way. Looks like he's quite covered up. All right, let's read together with our mics muted, everybody. The sun on the treetops, no longer is seen. Come, let us welcome Shabbat, the true queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her God's angels of peace and of rest. Come now, dear queen, with us abide. Come now, Shabbat our bride. Shalom Aleichem, angels of peace. As we continue now with Yedid Nefesh, page 14.
Yedid Nefesh, Avarachaman, Mishok Avdach, El Ritzonach, Yarutz Avdach, Kemo Ayal, Yitztachave El Mul Hadarach, Ye'erav lo yedidutach, Mino fetzuf, Bechotam. Yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai.
And we'll continue now with the Sabbath prayer. Let's read together. Dear God, help us now to make this a new Shabbat. After noise, we seek quiet. After crowds of indifferent strangers, we seek to touch those we love. After concentration on work and responsibility, we seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inward selves. We open our eyes to the hidden beauties and the infinite possibilities in the world you are creating. We break open the gates of the reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others. We reach toward one holy, perfect moment of Shabbat. We'll continue page 15 with Lechu Neranina, Rabbi.
Last week I spoke about Shabbat and the laws of Shabbat, and those couple of English prayers we just said really says it all, and it's a beautiful thing that we should really concentrate on. So I'm glad it's part of our service. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai. Naria, letzo yeshenu, nikadma fana betoda. Naria, letzo yeshenu, bismirot naria lo. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai. Ki adonai melchadol kol him. Arbaim shana akut bedor, Valmar am to wave levav behem lo yadu drachai, Hashem nishbati v'api, im yavon el menuchati.
And now the song for Shabbat, the Psalm 96. Let us read responsibly, Rabbi. Sing a new song to Adonai. Acclaim Adonai, all people on earth.
Sing to Adonai, proclaim each day God's awesome might. Announce to the world God's glory and wonders.
For Adonai is great, deserving of praise. Adonai alone is to be revered as God.
All the gods of the nations are nothingness, but Adonai created the heavens.
Majesty and might accompany God's splendor and strength adorn God's sanctuary.
Acknowledge Adonai, all families of nations. Acclaim God's majestic power. Acknowledge God's glory and bring him tribute.
Worship Adonai in resplendent reverence. Let the earth tremble in God's presence.
Declare to the world Adonai is sovereign. God has steadied the world which stands firm and judges all nations with fairness.
Let the heavens rejoice. Let the earth be glad. Let the sea and all it contains exult.
Let field and forest sing for joy. Adonai comes to rule the earth, to rule the world justly, the nations with fairness. Yismechu hashamayim b'tagel haaretz yiramayamum la'o ya'alo sadai v'chol hashebo az yiranenu kol hatzeyar lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot haaretz yishbot tevel b'tzedek v'yamim.
And as we turn to page 20, if you wish to stand, this is appropriate time. Mizmor LeDavid.
Mizmor LeDavid, Havu l'Adonai, B'nai Elim, Havu l'Adonai, Kavod va'oz, Havu l'Adonai, Kivod Shemo, Ishtachavu l'Adonai Behadrat Kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim Adonai, al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai b'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, vayishaber Adonai esazeh halvanon. Vayakidem kimo egel, Lebanon b'Sirion kimo, ven re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lahabodesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel ayalot. Vayechasof Ye'aron, uvhechalo kulo, Omer kavod, Adonai lamabu yashav, Vayeshev Adonai, Melech leolam, Adonai oz, leamo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
All right, and now you may be seated. If you're standing, we turn to page 21, L'chad Dodi, every other stanza.
Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zacho b'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'lithilah. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Migdash Melech Melucha, Kumitzei mitoch hafecha, Rav lach shevet be'emek habacha, Vehu yachamol alayechem la, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hitorari, hitorari, Kiva ore kumi uri, 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 shidaberi, Shivon Adonai alayek nigla, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, V'hayulim shisa shosayich, V'rachaku komev alayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kim soschatan al kala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'tzahala, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela.
And if you're standing for the Boi Chala, you may be seated, page 23, the Psalm for Shabbat. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai, your designs are beyond our grasp.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble.
But me you have greatly exalted. I'm anointed with fragrant oil. I've seen the downfall of my foes, and I've heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God.
And they shall bear fruit even in old age, and they shall be ever fresh and fragrant, to proclaim Adonai is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw.
And 4 lines from the bottom in Hebrew, Tzadik Katamar.
Tzadik Katamar Yefrach Ke'erez Bavanon Yezke Shetulim Beveit Adonai Mechatrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun B'Seva Tishenim Verananim Yeyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzori V'lo Avlatabo.
Adonai Malach.
Eidotecha ne'amnu me'ol levekanav kodesh Adonai liorech yamim.
And now those of you reciting Kaddish for a yortzeit or a loved one, may you open your mics. Join Rabbi Bernie as you recite standing the Kaddish.
Yitkadash
Shemei Rabba.
Bi'amadi
Brakirete,
Yamlik
Yamlik
Malkute,
Malkute,
V'chayei Kol Yomechon, V'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalav B'zman Karev V'yimru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam Omei Omaya. Yitborach, v'yishabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitroman, v'yitnaseh, Yidadar, Yidalef, Yitalach, Shemei Kusha, Berichu, La'elam Yimkol, Birchata, V'shivata, Tushbachata, V'nechemasa, Da'amim, Alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehi, Shlama, Rama, Mishmaya, Chaim Aleinu, Kol Yisrael, Yimru, Amen. O say Shalom, Yirama, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Kol Yisrael, Yimru, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And now it's time for the Baruch Hu. If you wish to join for the response for the call to worship, you may do so. And then as soon as you've done that, we'll ask you to please remute your microphones. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai
Hamorach Leolam Vaed. We'll ask you to make sure your mics are muted as you join Rabbi Bernie in the English. Praised are you.
Praise thou, you Adonai, our God who rules the universe. Your word bringing the evening dusk. You open with wisdom the gates of dawn. Design the day with wondrous skill. Set out the successions of seasons and arrange the stars in the sky according to your will. Adonai Tzebaot, you create day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness away from light. Eternal God, your sovereignty shall forever embrace us. Praise thou, you Adonai, for each evening's dusk.
Omavir yom omevi laila. Omavdi ben yom ben laila. Adonai Tzebaot shemo. El chai b'kayam tamidim lo chaleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai. Hamari varavim avat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu u'vkumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, u'vahem nehege, Yomam v'layla v'yavatcha tasrimenu leolamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael. You may open your mics and join us as we declare God's sovereignty together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please mute the mics. Rabbi Bernie will continue via Haftarah.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Mechol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech Ubishakpacha ubekumecha, ukishatam liot al yadecha, v'hayula totafot bein einecha, uketavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha.
Continuing silently, v'hayai.
גם שמות ששמות שריים שלנו כיום, לא מנהל לכם לבוא נפשכם. טוב, הקודש ועשינו זמן, נתתי 10%, שמותכם פן יותר. Something about that. למען ירבו ימיכם וימי בניכם על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת להם כמשמיים על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית הוריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם אחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 32. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה בני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך בוקיים לפני משה זה עלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי ברא את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. The Hashkivenu, as we will read it now in English with Rabbi Bernie, with your mics muted please, and then we'll continue in Hebrew. Rabbi?
Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to light. Spread over us your shelter of peace and guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise are you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people, Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha V'takneinu b'yetza tova milfanecha והושיענו למען שמך. והגן בדנו והסר מעלינו אויב דבר וחרב ורע ויגון ויסר שטן מלפנינו ומאחרינו. ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו מצילנו אתה, כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה, ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו על כל עמו ישראל ועל Yerushalayim. As we observe the Shabbat, we stand normally for Vishamru, and Rabbi Bernie will lead.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uven b'nei Yisrael oti li'olam, oti li'olam, oti li'olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
Yidgadal v'yidkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyom mechon uv'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala uv'izmahan kari v'yimaru.
Amen.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam lo me'omaya.
Yitbarach.
Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yiromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yitala v'yitalal shemeri kodesha.
Berichu.
Berichu le'elamin kol b'chata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama v'yemaro.
Amen.
Amen. Time for the Amida. The Amida is silent normally. We'll say it softly if you wish to join in. We're on 35B on the screen. 35A if you have a Siddur, A or B, your choice. Hebrew or English, your choice. It's also a great time to sit and reflect, meditate, talk directly to God on your own. וזוכר חסדי אבות ומביא גאול לבני בניהם למען שמו ויבא מלך עוזר ופקד מגן ברוך ומגן אברהם ופוקד צבא. אתה גיבור למלאים לכם מדים את הרב לא השם השיבה רוח מרי לגשם. מחלקכם בחסד נכם מדים רחמים רבים סומך נופלים ברפך ומטר סורים. ומקיים את לשני הפעם מחמוך בעל כבוד ומידה מלאך מלך ממית ומקיים עצמך ישוע ונאמר לתלמידים ברוך חיים מתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש. וקדושים בהם רסלה ברוגניה אל הקדוש, אתה קידשת את יום השביעי, לשמך תגלה מעשה שמיים וארץ, וברכת מכל הימים, וקידשת מכל הזמנים, וכן כתוב בתורתך. ויחולו השמיים וארץ וכל זברם ויחלוני ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ורוצה מנוחתנו קדשנו מצוותיך ותן בתורתך. סבנו מטובך ושמחנו בשבועתך וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת. תנחילנו לאלוהינו ביבוא ברצון שבת קודשך. וינוחו בישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך ה' מקדש השבת וצאתנו לאלוהינו בעמך ישראל תפילתם וישבת עבודה בביתך. ודבילתם ביבוא לגבי ברצון אותי לרצון אמינו ודעת יזול עמך ותחזינו עינינו בשביל כל הציון ברחמים ברוך ה' מחזיר שכינתו לציון מודים אנחנו לך. שאתה עונה אלוהינו ורבתנו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו ואתה ולדוב אדון הדרך נספר תהילתך. חיינו מסורים בידיך ויען נשמתנו בגדות לך ואל ניסח אשר בכל להיות עמנו ואל נבטח ופעולתך אשר בכל עת ערב בבוקר בצהריים הטוב כי רחמך רחמכם כי לא תמוך חסדך מעולם קיווינו לך ועל כל עולם יפרח ונאמר שמך מכן תמיד עולם ועד. וכל החיים יחסר ולשמך באמת ישועתנו ועזרתנו סל ברוך ה' הטוב שמך לך נאה להודות שלום רב וישלומך ועל כל יושבי תבל תשים לעולם כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום וטוב ונקרא בכל ישראל ובכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך ברוך ה' Amarek Damo Yisrael Bashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol shalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol ed u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. And with mics muted, join Rabbi Bernie in the English passage, which is said after the Amida. And when you reach that word Redeemer, we're going to stop and join in singing Oseh Shalom. Rabbi?
My God, keep my tongue from evil and my lips from lying. Help me ignore those who would slander me, and let me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. Frustrate the designs of those who plot evil against me. Make nothing of their schemes. Act for the sake of your compassion, your power, your holiness, and your Torah. Answer my prayer for the deliverance of your people. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael, v'yamru imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimaru. Amen.
Amen. May the one who brings peace to his universe bring peace to us, to all the people Israel, v'al kol yoshvei Tebel, and all who dwell on God's earth, and we together say,
Amen.
We're going to pray for those who are ill. As we mentioned earlier, we've been doing it every night during our service. Traditionally, we do it in the morning when there's Torah out, but because of the pandemic, we've been doing it. And if you wish to say the name or names of people, you may do so. It's also traditional to do it during the weekday Amida as well, but we do it as well because of the pandemic. If you wish to say the name or names of people when I stop, you may do so. Then please remute your microphones.
Peter Rizzo, Ryan Amon, Joel Heyman, and Jim Noble.
Howard Weinberg, and Stan Spiegelman, and Stu Morgan.
Steve Brass, Arlene Generazzo.
Ann Martellaro, Ann Rumpf, Angela Volante, Steve Goldberg, Bernie Gordon.
Al Zimmerman, Juan Barrios, and Tino Hart.
Jeff Schultz, Reverend Francisco Tolentino, Judge Justin Phillips, Donna Claycomb.
And if all names have been mentioned, please mute. And may God bring blessing and healing to all those we've mentioned, all those we know of, those on our lists, those our loved ones, our family members, those who suffer illness within the congregational family. May the Holy One mercifully restore them to health and to vigor, granting them physical and spiritual well-being, together with people everywhere who may be ill. Misha beirach avoteinu, mekor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha beirach imoteinu, mekor habracha le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And we turn now to page 47, and those of you that wish to stand may do so. Rabbi Bernie will continue.
Vayekulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. Vayevarech Elohim et Yom HaShvi'i, Vayekadesh oto, Ki bo Shabbat mikol melachto, Ki bo Shabbat mikol melachto, Asher bara Elohim, Asher bara Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon Kolei Shamayim v'aretz.
And if you're standing, you may be seated. Again, a vote.
Magen Avod Vidvaro, Mechaye Meitim B'ma'amaro, Ha'el HaKadosh She'en Kamohu, Hameniach Le'amo B'yom Shabbat Kadsho, Kivam Ratza Le'haniach Lahem, Kivam Ratza Le'haniach Lahem, Lefanav Navod V'Rava Fachad V'nodeh Lishmo B'chol Yom Tamid Me'on HaBrachot El HaHodaot Adon HaShalom Mikadesh HaShabbat U'mevarek Shvi'i Umeniach Begdusha Liamadu Shnei Oneg Zecher Lemase Bereshit Eloheinu v'layavoteinu Ritzei b'mnuchateinu Kodshenu b'mitzvotecha v'techalkeinu v'toratecha Sabeinu mituvecha v'samcheinu v'shuatecha v'taher libeinu v'avdecha be'emet v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu, Mi'ahava u'ratzon, Shabbat kadshecha, V'yinuchu v'Yisrael, Mikadeshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yama divrach chirutei v'yamach malchutei v'chaychon v'yamachon v'chaychol be'Israel. Bagalav v'zman kariv v'yamaro.
Amen.
Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olam me'omaya.
Yitbarach.
Yibarak v'yishtabak v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalav shmei negodusha.
Berichu.
Richu le'lamin ko b'chata b'shirata tush b'chata v'nekmata damiram b'yamav v'yamru.
Amen.
Amen. Tikabal sloton uvoton decha Yisrael kadam v'hodi v'shmai v'yamru.
Amen.
Amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru.
Amen.
Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. O yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru.
Amen.
Amen. Rabbi Bernie, you hit the note. You hit the note, Rabbi Bernie. Good job. All right. It's time for the Kiddush now with the gentleman who got 100 on his Kiddush exam this week in school. Jacob, before we do that, we have to make sure that the wine is poured. I believe Irene is filling in for Mimi because Mimi's tired tonight. Mimi's tired, not retired, but tired. Irene, did you pour the wine tonight, the grape juice?
Shut me off. I did, Rabbi. I put everybody except for Eddie Gustat, so I'll do that right now.
Don't leave Eddie out. All right, good job. Good job. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. 100%. Jacob, the Kiddush.
Right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'yahava u'ratzon henhilanu, zikron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah, l'mikrayei kodesh, zecher tziyat, Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodecha v'yahava uvratzon henhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
All right. Amen. Jacob, you got a haircut, huh?
I did.
You got them all cut, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you get them ready for Pesach? Is that what you did? You got your Passover haircut?
Yes.
You look great. Thank you so much, Jacob. We're just so honored that you join us all the time and make everybody's night. Thank you for that. You really are a wonderful young man.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we started a new book this week, Parshat Vayikra, and everyone is busy these days. I know everybody's preparing for Pesach. So as not to interfere, even though it's Shabbat, I will try to keep the Devar Torah short and sweet. Notice the word try. It begins with one simple question that has a simple answer. The question is, what is the most often used verse in the whole Torah? Now, Rabbi, I know you know the answer. Sure. To put things in context, the Torah has almost 6,000 verses. The overwhelming majority of them are said only once. Some are repeated more than once. So which one is the most repeated verse? Obviously, the answer to this question can be found in this week's Torah reading. It's right there in the beginning. Well, if we read from the beginning, but we're in the triennial, but it says, Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And God spoke to Moses saying. That verse is repeated over and over and over again. The verse seems to tell us nothing more than that God spoke to Moshe and told him what to tell Bnei Israel or Aharon or others. Ironically, there is something in the Talmud that makes it extremely relevant to our 21st century. The rabbis in the Babylonian Talmud tractate Yoma tell us that one of the great sages looked at this verse and said, hey, there is an extra word here. It could have simply just said, Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe, and God spoke to Moshe. Why add the extra word? Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, and God spoke to Moshe saying. We get a remarkable explanation from this extra word. And God spoke to Moshe saying, we are being told that when God spoke to Moshe, God was highlighting what Moshe could tell Bnei Israel about what they spoke about in private. If God had not given him this permission, if God had not answered or added, the extra word lemor, which in this case means to say to others, then Moshe would have had to keep private between him all of the words. In the great Talmudic sage's words, from this we learn that one who tells something to another, that the other cannot repeat it to another unless that person is expressly told to go out and tell others. Now, currently, where privacy is given absolutely no respect by those who dwell in the slime pit of social media, not to mention the cyber criminals who attack, hack, and steal private information from bank and credit card accounts, insurance companies, purchasing information, databases, cryptocurrency transactions, healthcare records, and everything else we demand privacy from. Do you realize the enormity of this simple word, lemor? Do you realize how loudly this speaks to us in our day and our age? The Talmud is warning us that privacy is so revered that when someone tells us something, unless that person specifically gives us permission to repeat it, that information must be protected. We not only have no right to share it, we must go to the mat to protect the private information. Go tell that to those who produce and those who use Alexa, Google, Siri, Bixby, Fitbit, AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, Roku, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Microsoft, and Instagram, and every other technical device and software application that we use today. They gather more and more private information from us, and with or without our permission, they share, sell, or leak it to others who further share, sell, or leak it again. In the past, we were the consumers who bought products from companies. Now, we have become the products of high-tech industries who buy, sell, and collect our most private information. Sure, they continue to assure us that they do not play those games, but if you believe that, I have a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. There is no doubt that they do. You know, my father's mother, my Nana, oh, SHALOM, she used to tell me, if you want to keep a secret, keep it. Don't talk about it. Do we? Almost every one of us do the same things. How many times have you received an email from someone and immediately click forward, sharing the contents of that email without asking the sender's permission? What about spreading Lashan Hara, or gossip, one of the greatest sins of all Judaism? Who's never done that? Nothing anyone says or does is respected anymore. You know, there was a time when people showed derech eretz, a respect of royalty. People treated a king, a queen, a prince, or princess with the highest respect. Our Jewish tradition took this so seriously that we have a blessing we recite upon seeing royalty. Blessed is, and the name of the royal person, Adoshem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, who has given divine glory to human beings. Well, these days we do not only not show respect to royalty, we do everything possible to do them dirty. You know, there were 17 million Americans who watched Meghan and Prince Harry reveal the skeletons in their royal closet. So let me say for the record, I did not watch and could care less what they said, especially since I'm not one of the British royal subjects, even though my mother's father, my grandfather of blessed memory, was born in Liverpool. Clearly there are revelations, true or false, that were damaging to a British society. Now, what about us here in the good old US of A? How important is it for us or any one of us to know how Meghan and her sister-in-law get along? Is there no such thing as just between us? Besides, do we not all have some dysfunctions in our own families? Do we want those brought out to the international media? Is there nothing better for them or for us to do with our time than intrude on the privacy of others? If Prince William and Prince Harry are not getting along, why do we have to know? Remember the concept of family secrets? Today, there are no secrets. The lack of respect for privacy is destroying families, friends, businesses, and even acquaintances. Vayedaber Adonai. Do not repeat something that we are not specifically given permission to repeat. Even the great news publications of our day are no better than the National Enquirer. Confessions that people once would only share in private are now told on Oprah. They do this for ratings and for businesses to get richer, while we become less rich in respect and in a quality of life. It was not long ago that even when we did not show respect for the privacy of the living, at least we showed respect for the privacy of the dead. There was a feeling that the dead could not defend themselves, and therefore one should not speak evil of a person after they're gone. Sadly, even that rule no longer holds water. Amos Oz, the famous Israeli writer who passed away at the age of 79 on December 28, 2018, has a daughter, Galia. She just published the first chapter of her new book, in which her opening words are, quote, "In my childhood, my father beat, cursed, and humiliated me," she wrote in Hebrew. "The violence was creative. He dragged me from inside the house and threw me out over the threshold. He told me I was filth. This was no passing loss of control or an occasional slap across the face, but a routine sadistic abuse. My crime was me, myself, so the punishment had no end. He needed to be sure I would break." Now, those words are really sad and they're tragic. They're terrible. But I wonder why this is so important for all of us to know this about him. The question is especially important because Galia's mother and sister and everyone else who knew him, well, they tell a very different story. When he died, Amos Oz was described by the New York Times as being Israel's most prolific writer and respected intellectual. Could he not have been allowed to rest in peace? Could we not simply have left it at that? Who among us does not have skeletons in our closet? We would like to keep those skeletons private, wouldn't we? Is it that important that someone has to come along and hang us out in public and display our dirty laundry? This Shabbat is appropriate for all of us to learn this lesson. Why? Well, next week at this time, we will be hours away from sitting down at our second annual pandemic Pesach Seder. And it should be the last pandemic Seder, with hopes that next year we return to our shul for our annual community Seder in person and in health. The Pesach Seder should be the ultimate family experience. And God willing, as I say, next year we can enjoy it the way it was meant to be celebrated once again. But pandemic or no pandemic, by Zoom stream or in person, families will gather together to tell the ancient story of the Exodus from Mitzrayim. And even so, I'll bet you matzah meal to matzah balls that this is not all we will be talking about. When it comes time for the Seder meal, how many of us will be talking about freedom and salvation? Maybe, but we'll probably be talking mostly about other people. Will we probably be catching up on the latest gossip? We'll be cutting up our food just as we cut up the reputations of others. What a world. It's so sad. Next week, we're going to the most wonderful party of all. Let us make sure that not only must we work to keep the chametz from entering our mouths, we must work just as hard to make sure we do not allow chametz to come out of our mouths. The great Talmudic sage Rabbeinu Bachya said, "The mouth is a door, not a sewer." Remember, Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And God spoke to Moshe saying, in other words, never, ever repeat anything without permission of the person who told it to you. That will make our festival of freedom a real Chag Kasher v'Sameach, a truly kosher and joyous festival. With that, I invite you all to turn the news off and celebrate each other, celebrate our freedom, stop listening and spreading the gossip. And with that, I say Amen and Shabbat Shalom to all of us. And at this time, I invite Rabbi Bernie to join along with all of you in that beautiful Aleinu that everyone loves to sing together. With your microphones muted or unmuted, it is your choice. Rabbi?
First I'd say, Rabbi, that's quite a message, you know. You know, when you think of emails and all of those other means of communications and things we might say and pass on to other people, it's really like, that's something we really got to work on, I got to say. So thanks for that. And it's definitely a message all of us need to take to heart. So thanks for that.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Salary to the bottom of the page. Okay, now hold on, I'll hang a little bit. Gaga to B'Torah Techa, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam V'Neh Adonai Le'melech Kol Haaretz, Hayom Hu Vayom
And with that, we'll ask everyone to please mute your microphones at this time. Everyone, even those of you saying the Kaddish, as we are about to remember those of our members of our congregation, the loved ones, and the Yortzites this week. With love, we remember the following: Chaim Wiseman, Harry Batcherman, Jake Goldstein, Arlene Levine, Israel Potash, William Pruss, Bessie Lampner, Ida Batcherman, Fanny Cohen Ragosa, Shirley T. Goldberg, Isabel Hertig, Shirley Levine, Lewis Miller, Herbert I. Blackman, Selma Blackman, Max Franklin, Ida Kaplan, Elliot L. Goldberg, Edward Brody, and Charles Gleich. Are there any other Yortzites that have not been announced?
Ann Levitt.
At this time, those of you who are saying the Kaddish for a loved one or for a Yortzite, you may say the name of the person you are remembering at this time.
Shirley Levine.
Menachem Mendel.
Janet Kaufman.
Ann Levitt.
Butzalel Haledi.
Sylvia Toby.
David Kaczynski.
And may the faith that binds us to our loved ones be a continuing source of comfort as we now invite those of you who are mourning and observing the Yortzite to stand and recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish together. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma, V'yivra Chirutei, V'yamlik Malchutei, V'chayechon, Uv'yomechon, Uv'chayei, V'chol Beit Yisrael. Va'agala, Uvizman, Kariv, V'yamru, Amen. Yehi Shnei Rabban V'varach, La'olam, Olamei, Olaya. Yiparach, V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yitaleh, V'yithalal, Shemei K'Kodeshah, Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata b'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yamru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu bi'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen.
Amen.
Oh, say shalom l'Shema, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu bi'al kol Yisrael v'yamru.
Amen.
Amen v'amen. We'll ask everybody, please mute the microphones. It's my pleasure to turn it over to our president, Adele Obarski, what else is new? You've got tonight's announcements.
Absolutely. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Yesha Koach, Rabbi Bernie, Rabbi Perlman, and of course, my star student, Jacob. Just to remind everyone, services tomorrow morning are at 9:30. Havdalah is at 7:41 tomorrow evening. Services Sunday through Thursday are at 7 o'clock. Next Friday night is at 8 o'clock. Next Saturday, services will be at 9:30, but then the first and second days of Pesach, which Sunday and Monday, the 28th and the 29th of March, services will begin at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Also, the last 2 days of Pesach, the 3rd and the 4th of April, services will begin at 9 a.m. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. Yiska will be recited on Sunday morning. The 2 virtual Seders are on Saturday night, a week from tomorrow, believe it or not, the 27th, and then the 28th. The first night we will be led by Rabbi Perlman and Rabbi Bernie, and the second night we will be led by Rabbi Perlman and his brothers. So I invite all of you to sign up for those. You can do it on the Zoom, in the Zoom room, on YouTube or on Facebook, whichever you prefer. If you remember last year, we said it was going to be the last one, but things don't always happen the way we wanted to, but we are so fortunate to have our rabbis lead us in the Seders and have us still feel that community, that family together. So I thank the rabbis for doing that. Also, don't forget, we are having our food drive from our school on Sunday. You can drop things off. The barrel is right outside the school door. You can drop things off, empty your cabinets for the chametz that you want to get rid of. And we are going to be delivering that to Haven from Hunger. It's a food pantry downtown Peabody. Also, if you still need to sell your chametz, Rabbi Perlman can be your agent. And the money this year is going to both Haven from Hunger and Mazon. So good things happening in our temple. It's going to, things don't stop. Things continue all the time happening in our temple. We are having a town meeting on April 20th. So I invite all of you to join us after Minyan for that. We will have lots of information about the update about the pandemic and what's going on. And I do thank those people who reach out to me, and we're grateful that we sent out that notice on yesterday or the day before. I don't know. It's a day that ends in Y. That's all I know. So Shabbat Shalom.
I think I was a great person who once said, never say never, right? Just never say never. And we'll never say that again, will we, Rabbi?
No, I'll never say that.
I'll never say never again. No, never. Because I remember at the end of the Seders last year saying, well, we'll never do that again.
No, that's so funny.
And then after Shavuos, never. And then after, I'm going to stop there. Okay, I'm going to stop.
Only 2 weeks, Rabbi. It's only
2 weeks. Only 2 weeks. We're only here for 2 weeks.
I had the weeknight service with the Omer. I said, I'm deleting it. Who needs the Omer again? We'll never do that again.
Oh, it's the same numbers as last year, so I gave it back to you. That's crazy. For those of you wondering, we're going to start counting the Omer next Sunday night. So it's
unbelievable.
Crazy.
I have to say, Rabbi, before we conclude, even in my own speeches sometimes and talks and high holidays and Pesach, and whenever it comes time for a family to get together, gossip could sneak in somehow. All of a sudden we start talking about somebody and whatever, but to bring in the technology and the modern technology about like Facebook and YouTube and the things that we pass on in another level, not necessarily sitting at a table, I have to say you opened my eyes, and I really appreciate that. And I thought it was a great message tonight.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you very much. I have to be honest. I literally turned the news off this week. I've actually stopped. I used to drive around with the news constantly on in my car, and I would constantly turn it on when I would come home, and it was always on in the background. I had to turn it off because if you have two choices. Either you can take blood pressure pills or turn off the news. I chose to do both. Anyway, it's time for Yigdal.
Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yesh tabach nimtza v'yenet el mitziuto echad v'yen yachid ki yichudon elam b'gam ein sof li'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'yein no guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nira Rishon v'yein reshit l'reshito. Hino adon olam b'chol notzar. Yoreh gedulato malchuto. Shefa nevuato nitano. Elan segulato v'tifarto. Lo kam b'Yisrael k'Moshe od. Navi u'mabid et emunato. Torah temet natan li'amoel al yad neviyo neman beito lo yachalif ha'el ve'lo yamidato li'olamim lezulato tzofeh v'yodeya sitarenu mabid l'sof davar b'kadmato gomer le'ish chesed k'mifalo Noten l'rasha ra kirishato yishlach l'ketzi amin mishichenu liftod mechakeke tishuato meitim yechayel b'rov chasto baruch adei ad shem tehilato meitim yechayel b'rov chasto Baruch Adayad Shem Tehilato.
And before we say good Shabbos and good night, everybody, I got to tell you, we joke about the fact that we said we're only going to be doing this for 2 weeks last March, and now we're getting into our second Passover. But when you think of why we're doing it, we're trying to keep everybody safe and alive. We originally said the words Pekuach Nefesh, in the interest of keeping people safe and alive. We're commanded to do that. That is important. And so we definitely want to get back to, quote, normal. We all do. Every one of us does. But we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. And if you look at what's going on in Europe, and if you look at what's happening here, we need to be patient. So as my grandfather used to say, I wanted you all to have a patience and live. To all of us. Baruch Adonai Olam Shakol Niyeh L'chaim Tovim Shalom L'chaim Tovim Shalom L'chaim L'chaim Tovim
Rabbi, are we going to do a L'chaim Tovim next Friday night?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, but we're going to do it with Ebrog liqueur.
That's right. We got something.